He could kill a lion with his bare hands. What if the strongest man who ever lived was also the loneliest? He could defeat 1,000 soldiers with a single bone. He could tear city gates from their posts and carry them up a mountain, but he could not find what his heart was searching for. This is the story of Samson, a man set apart before birth, blessed with impossible strength, and yet broken by the one thing he could never conquer, his desperate need to be known. Long before Samson drew his first breath, the story of his life was already being written in the hearts of those who loved him. His mother, a woman of quiet faith yet deep sorrow, had prayed for a child for countless nights. Each prayer was a thread of hope spun into the darkness. Each month, hope arose again, only to sink into disappointment. In the small village of Zorah, she watched other women cradle their children, rocking them softly, their laughter floating across the fields. She remained alone. Her arms stayed empty, her heart heavy with longing. One afternoon, at the village well, a young mother balanced her infant on her hip. She noticed the way Samson's mother watched, her eyes filled with longing. "You're lucky," the young mother said lightly. "At least no crying keeps you awake at night." A polite smile barely formed on her lips. Inside, grief tightened its grip on her chest, wrapping her heart in its unyielding arms. That evening, she wandered alone into the fields outside the village, where the grass swayed gently in the cool evening breeze. The sun sank behind the hills, painting the sky in streaks of orange and gold. She fell to her knees, tears streaming freely. Words had failed her, prayer had failed her, only grief remained. And then, as if the heavens themselves had opened, a brilliant light appeared. An angel, radiant and overwhelming, stood before her. Its presence made the air shimmer, and the earth itself seemed to hold its breath. "You have been barren," the angel said, "but your prayers have been heard. You will conceive and bear a son. No razor shall ever touch his head. From birth, he will belong to God. He will begin to deliver Israel from the Philistines." When the child was born, she held him close, marveling at the miracle in her arms. They named him Samson. From the very beginning, it was clear that he was no ordinary child. By the age of 10, he could lift rocks that would crush other boys, run faster than the fastest horse in the village, and bend heavy wood as if it were straw. Though the Lord had blessed him with extraordinary strength, it isolated him. Other children feared him. They stepped back, whispered behind his back. Blessing, she realized, can often feel like a prison. Years later, Samson journeyed to the Philistine town of Timnah. The marketplace was alive with merchants shouting, animals braying, and townsfolk haggling. Among them, a young woman caught his eye. She did not flinch. She did not avert her gaze. She smiled at him, a small, fearless gesture that struck him like a bolt of lightning. For the first time, Samson felt seen, truly seen. His heart stirred in a way that strength alone had never achieved. He returned home and told his parents of his desire to marry her. Plans were made, and soon they set out for Timnah. They passed through sunlit vineyards, grape leaves glimmering in the afternoon light. Samson walked ahead of his parents, savoring the quiet moment before the wedding. But the calm did not last. Suddenly, a roar split the air. A young lion, all muscle and teeth, lunged at him from the bushes. The Spirit of God surged within Samson like a firestorm. Muscles coiled, eyes narrowed, every sinew straining. He grabbed the lion mid-leap. The beast thrashed, clawed, and snapped, but Samson's strength was beyond comprehension. With a final heave, he tore the lion apart with his bare hands, victorious. Later, as he returned for the wedding, he passed the lion's carcass. Bees had built a hive inside it. Scooping honey with his hands, he tasted the sweetness of victory, a quiet triumph amid a life already filled with challenges. The wedding feast lasted 7 days, as was customary. 30 young Philistine men attended, companions to Samson. On the first night, he challenged them with a riddle. Out of the eater, something to eat. Out of the strong, something sweet. It was a secret only he knew, a private story revealed through a puzzle. For 3 days, they struggled in vain. By the fourth, desperation turned to threats. They cornered Samson's bride and demanded the answer. She wept, pleaded, but eventually Samson gave in. The secret was revealed, and betrayal stung sharper than any wound. Months passed. The wheat in the fields grew tall and golden, ready for harvest. Samson walked the road toward the woman's house, carrying a young goat. Perhaps he hoped anger had faded. Perhaps he hoped old wounds could heal. But as he arrived, the woman's father stepped into the doorway, blocking him. "I thought you hated her," he said. "I gave her to your companion, but see, her younger daughter is more beautiful. Take her instead." Samson's jaw tightened. Shock and fury surged through him. First, his secret had been stolen. Now the woman herself was treated like property. "This time," he whispered, "I have the right to strike back." That night, he captured 300 foxes, tying their tails in pairs and fastening torches between them. He released them into the Philistine fields under the cover of darkness. Fire spread like molten rivers, devouring wheat, vineyards, and olive groves. By morning, the land was a ruin of smoke and ash. The Philistines, unable to confront Samson directly, struck at the woman and her father. They were dragged from their home and burned alive. Rage and grief consumed Samson. He attacked every Philistine he could find, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake, and then disappeared into the shadows of the cave of Edom. Word of his wrath spread quickly. 3,000 men of Judah came to capture him. Samson stepped forward calmly. "I have only done to them what they did to me," he said. Bound with thick ropes, he was led toward the Philistine camp. But the Spirit of God rushed through him. The ropes snapped like burnt thread. A donkey jawbone lay at his feet. He seized it and struck down 1,000 Philistines. His chest heaved. Victory had no sweetness this time. Thirst overtook him. He cried out, and God split open the ground. Water poured forth, and his strength returned. For 20 years he judged Israel, but his heart remained restless.
Years later, in Gaza, Samson faced impossible odds. Guards barred the gates, yet under the moonlight, he lifted the massive doors, tearing them from their hinges and carrying them to a hilltop. Strength could move mountains, but could not satisfy a heart longing to be loved and understood. Then came Delilah. She offered love, yet hid betrayal in her eyes. Night after night, she asked the source of his strength. Night after night, he lied. She bound him while Philistine soldiers waited, yet he broke free each time. 3 times the pattern repeated. Exhausted and longing for love, Samson finally confessed, "No razor has ever touched my head. I was set apart for God from birth. If my hair is cut, my strength will leave me." That night, she cut his braids as he slept. Soldiers rushed in, capturing him, gouging his eyes, and chaining him in bronze. He labored, grinding grain like an animal. Blind, weakened, humiliated, the strongest man in Israel had fallen. Yet even in darkness, a spark of hope remained. His hair began to grow. His spirit, though battered, had not been broken.